Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was born in 1887 in St. Ann's Bay. The timeline of Marcus Garvey. 1914, Garvey found the UNIA in Jamaica. 1916, Garvey leaves Jamaica for New York City. 1918, Garvey starts a Negro World newspaper. 1919, Garvey starts the Black Star Line Shipping Company. The FBI instructs New York and Chicago offices to begin monitoring Garvey and his shipping company. 1920, the UNIA holds its first international convention of the Negro peoples of the world at Madison Square Garden and schedules a massive parade in Harlem. The UNIA also adopts a nation flag with the colors of red, black, and green. 1922, Garvey is arrested for mail fraud. The Black Star Line is dissolved due to the financial failure. Garvey meets the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, also known as the KKK, resulting in a quote-unquote Garvey must go campaign headed by black leaders. 1923, Garvey is arrested and sentenced to 5 years in prison to mail fraud. 1940, Marcus Garvey sadly dies. After the 1920s, Marcus Garvey was deported back to Jamaica and had no communication with the USA again. Marcus Garvey had a successful career, starting his own shipping line that was known as the Black Star Line. He was an influential role model to blacks and helped them realize they could stand up for themselves. In August 1920, Marcus Garvey addressed 25,000 people from all over the world at the first convention of the UNIA. He talked about black pride and culture. Marcus Garvey represents two themes of the 1920s, the KKK, also known as the Ku Klux Klan, and the migration of blacks moving. Garvey had similar opinions with the KKK, wanting blacks to be gone and whites in control of the USA. Garvey was important with blacks in migrating because he helped them move and fight for their rights no matter where they were. In the 1920s, Marcus Garvey was a part of the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association. His main objective in the 1920s was to have African Americans separate from whites. He wanted blacks to migrate to Africa and whites in America to build a different civilization. He helped blacks realize to begin the civil rights movement. Marcus Garvey seemed to be inner-orientated due to the fact that he was thinking what was quote-unquote best for blacks in general in his view, which was at the time the very beginning of the civil rights movement. Marcus Garvey is outer-orientated by thinking about blacks and how they should start their own lives and be independent. Marcus Garvey caused fear for the future, and many believed he was quote-unquote backpedaling at the time. Backpedaling in this reference can be known as not living in the present and wanting to go back, which is what Garvey was doing. He supported the fact that blacks and whites should be separate, which happened in the late 1800s to early 1900s. The 1920s was the start in rights for everyone, but Garvey wanted to keep it the old way. Considering that, Garvey wanted to go back in rights for blacks makes me concerned of being friends with him. I'd personally not be friends with him due to the fact that we have different views on what blacks and whites do. Many people, even now, aren't used to change, as in our President Donald Trump. Many fear that he wants to go back and curtail today's rights for women and the environment. In conclusion, if I was a history teacher, you can learn a lot from Garvey, to live in the present and not the past. Marcus Garvey had an idea to have blacks fight for their rights and have whites and blacks in different countries. The better or more ideal plan would have been blacks and whites together and create a better nation. Together, blacks and whites will be smarter, larger, stronger, diverse, and kind.